Hello, viewers, and a happy new and blessed year to you all. I am your host, Angela, and welcome back to my channel, which is Disable in Worldview, but Able in God's Eyes. I came back with our special guest, Maryruth Dillon, and to those who have not gotten to hear about her, you can check that out in our first episode of our interview together. And so we are now up to our third episode, which we will be hearing about knowing and identifying the signs once a parent has received a diagnosis of autism. So today, Maryruth will explain those signs and give you some suggestions in what to do. Please like if you like the video, comment please if you have a comment that you've heard and you want to comment on. And if you like to subscribe, please subscribe and also share so that you can be notified for more interviews to come. So without any further ado, here is Maryruth, and thank you again for returning with me.
Thank you, Angie. So today's topic, we are starting with the assumption your child has been diagnosed with autism. We talked about some of the signs last time, but I want to discuss a little bit about the process of being diagnosed, because some parents, they don't know, well, I'm having some suspicions. What do I do? Depending upon the age of the child, usually the child sees, during your regular GP, you may mention your concerns to your doctor. He may notice that something's not quite developing on the proper time scale. So you're sent out for further evaluations. An educational psychologist is usually one of the first people your child will see, and they will run a whole battery of tests. If the child is school age, the child's teachers will also get an evaluation form, sort of like a checklist that they're supposed to look at and comment on what characteristics they have seen. As the parent, you will also have a checklist, and sometimes they will ask you to give a checklist to a friend of the family or another relative. So what happens once you have that diagnosis? Remember, in the last time I said that autism has a broad spectrum. You have far right, where you have very high functioning, to all the way over the other side where you have nonverbal, even not even able to be potty trained or anything like that. So it's a wide range of characteristics. That's why it's called a spectrum. So what do you do then? For one thing, don't beat yourself up. I speak from experience. When my youngest son received the diagnosis, it was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Whether it was something you did or something you done to you or whatever, that doesn't matter. It's in the past. You can't change it. But you can change from today moving forward. You can choose to change things in your home, how you manage, and be able to improve the symptomology. This is either reducing or reversing the signs of autism. Now, I personally, I have a master's in mental health counseling, and in my time of studies, I focused on two topics. Number one was trauma. Number two was autism. So I have many hours of research. I have a child on the spectrum, and when he was diagnosed, I was told he would never function. as a normal adult. Well, they were wrong because I was willing to do whatever it took. Okay, now he was higher functioning. I have worked with numerous parents around the world, and the more likely they are to make these lifestyle changes, the better their child is. Okay. And this is not just, well, this is my opinion. This is gained from hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and countless articles and research. I have studied this topic of autism, let me see, what, 20 years now, because my son was 9 years old when he was diagnosed. That's a lot of time. And I know what I've seen work. So you've received the diagnosis. First thing I always recommend, always, is dietary changes. Children on the spectrum have leaky gut. Now, I have a training that goes into the details of what is leaky gut, what are the signs, and how to resolve it. You can find out more information by emailing me at healing@kindlingdreams.com. But leaky gut, resolve the leaky gut. You got to cut out the gluten and the dairy, anything with chemicals in it, because chemicals, man-made chemicals, create hyperpermeability, which is what leaky gut is. Re-inoculate the gut with healthy bacteria. This can be done through probiotics. I personally use a Mari brand, but there are other brands out there. The thing is please make sure that they use food and not man-made ingredients. When you're working on resolving the leaky gut, then there are nutritional deficiencies that are common with children on the spectrum. Number one is zinc, GABA, and magnesium. One thing I did was to use the magnesium spray and put it on the feet. This goes directly into the bloodstream. When you take magnesium tablets, a lot of that magnesium doesn't make it through the digestive system. So that's why I personally prefer using the spray. I use zinc, a liquid zinc. It's easier to be absorbed. Vitamin D, of course, is very, very important. GABA. So GABA is your only neurotransmitter that is an inhibitory. That means out of all our neurotransmitters, the GABA is the only one that turns cell firing off. And many times our children on the spectrum have very low GABA. Now, of course, GABA comes from the food we eat, our plants and veggies, our fruits and vegetables. However, you can get a supplement. You can get a powder that can be mixed with like a morning smoothie, or you can have capsules if your child is able to do capsules. I know many of them cannot. So
Yeah, I know for my children, I like to use the smoothie, and I also like to use yogurt.
Oh, yes.
Yogurt is also good.
Yes, yes. I have a wonderful recipe for almond yogurt, making it out of almond flour, and it's so easy. Let's see, GABA. Okay, glutathione is also something that is low on those on the spectrum. to increase glutathione outside of your fruits and vegetables. It's red light therapy can increase glutathione. There's a supplement called glycine that can be used by the body to make glutathione. One thing about glutathione is that if you take Tylenol, something like that, it zaps the body of glutathione. And our glutathione is one of our major antioxidants in the body, and it's a huge part of our immune system. So if we do not have enough, well, we can end up in trouble with all sorts of health issues. you know, fever is our friend. I'll just leave it at that. Fever is our friend. A lot of people will take Tylenol or something for fever. But anyways, so these nutrients are very, very important. It is also essential to detox on a daily basis. Some of the steps to detox, I will tell you that I cannot cover all the steps of detoxing right now, but I will tell you one of the things that is good to start with is dandelion root tea 3 to 4 times a day for 4 to 6 weeks. And what this does is it makes sure your elimination pathways are open. Because if you start trying to detox, especially like heavy metals, which are linked to autism, before you have made sure that your elimination pathways are open, then you can end up with a very, very sick child. They can experience a healing crisis. So it's very important to make sure your elimination pathways are open. And then you deal with mold and parasites. And then last, you deal with heavy metals. And I would never recommend anyone detoxing for heavy metals unless they are working with a natural health professional, someone who knows what they're doing, because it can be very, very difficult, especially for your child. I have worked with adults detoxing heavy metals, and if you do it too fast or the wrong way, you can get sick. Now, I've mentioned before that the genetic aspect of autism is the person's inability to detox correctly. So this is why it's essential to detox on a daily basis. That can be something simple like lemon water 30 minutes before breakfast. It can be detox baths like Epsom salt mixed with baking soda and sea salt or Himalayan salt. I like to add an essential oil in there, such as lavender or bergamot or frankincense or something like that. Detoxing in a hot bath as hot as the child can stand it for 20 minutes a week would go far. And with Epsom salt, that helps increase magnesium. So you wanting to work on detoxing and then supplementing for your nutritional deficiencies, especially those that are common for the children on the spectrum that I mentioned earlier. There are behavior modifications, setting up simple rules. I had 3 rules in my home and I had consequences. Got a warning the first time, and then the second time got a ticket. And these tickets had charges. And so when he got paid from doing his chores, he had to pay his fines. That only happened one time, 1 month. And after that, he realized he didn't want to pay the money for the fines. So he started staying on task, things like that. And there's so many other steps that you can take for behavior modification depending upon your own individual child, because they're all different.
When you say tickets, because I know when you mentioned this to me before, I let's see, I for those viewers who will be watching this, if you're familiar with those carnival tickets, that when you go inside, they give you a ticket. Um, that's what I bought. I bought those type of tickets that you can find on in Walmart, and you can write on that. And I did do that. Let me see if I can find. They got little jars like this from Amazon. Right now it has something else in there, but as you can see, the label you may not be able to see because of my virtual background, but I did write his name. I wrote my son's name, letting him know that if he did something for me and for him, that he would get a ticket and it will be placed in here. And so it worked. It worked.
Yes, I even used this when I was teaching. They had jobs and we had certain rules. They got a warning and then they got a ticket. I used the raffle tickets. Now with my son, I actually made 3x5 cards, but a raffle ticket, and you can get different colors for, like, one rule might be one amount of fine and another rule might be a higher fine. And so you can use different color of tickets per cost of fine. But with my students, what I did is I gave them a warning and they got a ticket. And at the end of the month, when they were paid for their jobs, they had to pay their fines. And after they paid their fines, then they got to use the remaining money to go shopping in the school store. What I did for my son is he had chores that he had to do, and they were listed on the fridge, and each day he would check them off as he did it. And if he did 85% or more without being reminded, he would get paid for that day. At the end of the month, if he did really well, then I might have a treat, such as I would take him on a trip to get like a yogurt ice cream, soft serve yogurt, which they had a non-dairy type. I would get him something at the dollar store or get him a book, something like that. If he did well enough during the month, then there was a special prize.
Another
But
idea I remember doing too is for those viewers who like to look for coupons, if you have a little plastic pouch to keep your coupons in, those can be also good to use when you're writing out on index cards what you want your child to do, and you can incorporate the tickets as well, and that could be their own personal reward pouch, letting them know that they receive maybe a new toy or something that they like, and they can place it into their pouch, their that coupon pouch. If you know what I'm talking about, please make a comment below.
yes, coupons. I, again, with my son, because I mean, he's in his late 20s now, so this has been a number of years ago. I use 3x5 cards and I use them as a motivation for him to stay on task because I homeschooled him. So every 20 minutes, if he stayed on task, he would get a single card good for 15 minutes. 15 minutes of computer or a video game or a TV show. And the TV show was only allowed certain shows. Now, if it was educational, he was allowed a longer period if it was like a documentary or something. But if it was just computer time or game time, he was only allowed 1 hour. Once he earned a ticket, he could not lose it. I have seen a number of people, you can get them online for free, little, and print them out, little coupons, and they can say good for, whatever. It can be staying up 15-30 minutes late at night. It can be for a free book. It can be time with mom alone or dad alone, or a special trip, maybe to the park or whatever they like to do. So you can really make these coupons very child specific, and they don't have to cost a lot of money. Maybe it's like a coupon for their favorite meal. Maybe they like a certain meal, but you don't make it that often, and they could turn the coupon and say, I would like to have this meal tonight, or even a special dessert. The thing with feeding our children on the spectrum is a lot of times they have either sensitivities to texture or taste, or they're very, very picky. They only want certain types of food. But we have to be careful and make sure that they're eating everything they need to eat. And if they're not, you need to supplement. But there are ways to get around that. You could even encourage, say, okay, we're having this new food. My granddaughter was like this, okay? And she was not on the spectrum, but she was a very, very picky eater. What I would do is I would give her 1 tablespoon of the new food. I'd say, you eat that, and then you can eat everything else. And a number of times she would eat it and thought, oh, that's good. Can I have more, Grammy? So with our children being picky eaters, what I have found from research, and this is really strange, is that sometimes they will crave foods that they're allergic to. And that doesn't even make sense to me. But then I learned more about parasites. And I know that parasites can cause us, everyone, to crave certain foods because that's what they want to eat. And it can make people crave, parasites can make people crave sugar. It can make people crave, breads, because simple breads turn into simple sugars, which feed the parasites. It's not good to make mealtime a battle, but with small baby steps, it is possible to retrain the child's taste buds. It is not easy. It is not fast, but it's worth it. Just remember, you are the parent. You are not his friend. You are not her friend. You are the parent. It is your God-given responsibility to raise this child to the best of your ability. And that includes making sure that they are eating right, that they're getting enough sleep, that they are getting the nutrients they need, whether you have to supplement or be creative by putting things in a smoothie. You need to get the nutrients in them. And again, like I've mentioned before, feel free to reach out to me at healing@kindlingdreams.com. My website is kindlingdreams.com, and I do have classes and get more detail. I think that's probably enough for today, Angie.
Okay. And so I hope we have learned something through this interview, through this video presentation. And I want to leave with you with a promise. I have a book of a lot of promises that are geared to parents with special needs. And I think this one will fit our presentation, and that is on acceptance. When you're having trouble accepting your situation, I know at first I was in denial in accepting the diagnosis, but you know what? I was able to accept it because it was a door opening for me. And look how far I have been, and I could not have done it without God through his son and the amount of people that he has has accepted me, and I have accepted them to hear, to see, to witness, and to even taste with my child things that I'm able to put my hands on to do. And so I thank God for his influence. And so without that, you wouldn't be able to meet Miss Maryruth here. So I thank God for his guidance. And I want to share with you two scriptures. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 17, and Romans 8, verse 18 and 23. Each of you should continue to live in whatever situation the Lord has placed you, and remain as you were when God first called you. For what we suffer now is nothing compared to the glory he will reveal to us later. And we believers also groan, even though we have the Holy Spirit within us as a foretaste of future glory. For we long for our bodies to be released from suffering. We too wait with eager hope for the day when God will give us our full rights as his adopted children, including the new bodies he has promised us. And so I want to leave these two verses, which are God's promises to us as special parents to these children that are are not really ours. Even though we bore them, they belong to God. But He has given us the right to be parents to them. And so I hope that what you have heard in episode 3, and if you want to go back to episode 1 and 2 to review what you have heard there, um, may may what you have heard will be able to apply to your life as you continue to minister and to raise your precious ones for the Lord. And so I will see you next time. Thank you again, Miss Mary Ruth, and I will be looking forward to your um, bringing you along again for our next episode, which will be number 4. I don't know when that will air or premiere, but look out for that for episode number 4. We haven't discussed yet what we're going to talk about next, but there'll be more to come. So please share, subscribe, and subscribe and share and comment. Uh, Thank you, and God bless you.